The week. The week. The week. The week that was. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining me on my new show, The Week That Was. On this week, the Lakers still remain as the number one seed in the NBA, and they're currently at 11-3. Clippers in number 2 spot at 9-4. Utah 8-4. Phoenix 7-4. Right, exactly, kind of where I had them being, a 4 or 5 seed. They're still right there. Portland still hanging in it, 8-5. San Antonio 7-6. You have Dallas 6-6 as they're struggling right now. They lost against the Bulls today, Sunday. And they also lost against the Bucks yesterday. We have Denver, who's pulling themselves back. They're currently at the at the 8 seed at 6-6. Memphis gets Ja Morant back. That's going to bring a big boost. Maybe they will make the playoffs. I'm a big believer in Ja, but him being out for a while, that definitely hurt. Maybe they make a push. Oklahoma City, surprisingly, at 6-6, 500 without Chris Paul, without all their star players that they had previously, still trying to make a push. Then they also have Golden State 6-6, which is kind of a little surprising, but at the same time, that's kind of where I thought they'd be at. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs this year, but they're still trying. Steph Curry's really trying to push up. He's averaging close to 30 points a game. We have Sacramento 5-8. They're actually kind of sticking in it as well. New Orleans, I'm actually kind of surprised they're not doing as well as they were supposed to be doing. They're at 4-7, but I'm not a big fan of Van Gundy's, and they have a Van Gundy as their head coach, so that could be a good reason why. Houston 4-7. I had them in the playoffs, but again, that was with James Harden. And, James Harden's no longer with the team. He's on the Nets, so there's that. Also, he lost like 30, 40 pounds in like a day. So that, who knows what he was doing there. So I don't think they're going to make the playoffs anymore. But who knows, sometimes teams, when you lose somebody, you kind of gain a little bit more momentum that way. It's kind of a, hey, this is what we got left, and we know what we have. And it might be better off for them. But they got Victor Oladipo on their team. He most likely will be either a free agent this year and leave Houston, or they might deal him before the trade deadline. We have Minnesota in last place, and that's pretty much where I see it happening for their team. So I wouldn't be surprised if Towns gets traded, most likely this offseason, or at least ask for a trade this offseason. Going to the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee in the number 1 spot at 9-4. No surprise with that, as they were the number 1 seed the last 2 years. But what they will do with that in the playoffs, that's yet to be seen. We have Boston 8-4 with Jaylen Brown has actually been stepping up a lot now. Tatum was out last game. They actually lost tonight. And Indiana 8-4. Now with their trade, they got Chris LeVert from the Nets in that James Harden trade. Unfortunately, with the physical, found out that there was a medical concern. He's going to have surgery. He's probably going to be out for a while. But better to at least find that concern now, so that way he can move forward and be healthy going to the future. Philadelphia, they were the number 1 seed for a good portion of the season so far. They're 9-5. Brooklyn 8-6. They won 1 game. They were having a slide. They got James Harden, and it's looking a little bit better for them, obviously. Right away. They still don't have Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving should be set to come back shortly, and it'll be interesting. I don't think that's going to work out, and if you watched any of the Beyond the Arc shows, you'll know I kind of have them going out the second round. I have them winning at least 1 round for sure. That's too much talent not to win at least 1 round, but once they hit one of those other teams, those elite teams in the East, I think more team chemistry, more ball movement will probably be the death of the Nets. Orlando 6-7. Well, they seem to make the playoffs every year, so I'm not too surprised. But they need to blow that up at some point. They don't have the talent. They can keep on making the playoffs and keep on being in the middle. That they're happy with that. They're happy with that, I guess. But they need to make something happen to get some more talent in that team. Let's see. We got the Cleveland Cavaliers, surprisingly, as a number 7 team. I don't know where they're going. They have more big men than they know what to do with. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, Charlotte, who's actually in the playoff race right now at 6-8, still early. I don't think that they will make the playoffs, but you never know. Those last two teams in the Eastern Conference could be any team. Let's see, you got New York, who's trying to get into the playoffs, 6-8. Not too surprised. I am more surprised about the number 10 team right now in the Eastern Conference, the Atlanta Hawks. They're at 5-7. Now they built that team pretty strong. I kind of still feel like the coach isn't the right coach, but we'll see what happens. I'd be more surprised if Atlanta doesn't make the playoffs this year than if they would make the playoffs. Let's see, Chicago 5-8 with a win today that did help them over the Mavericks, but I don't suspect them making the playoffs. Miami, very disappointing, 4-7. That team's really good. Where are you at? We'll see. Toronto 4-8, another team that went deep in the playoffs last year, not doing so hot this year. With that team, they're a little older. They lost a couple of guys. I'm not thinking they're making the playoffs at this point. I think they might be looking for a trade for Lowry, but we'll see. Washington 3-8. Am surprised on that one. I thought they'd be more closer to a playoff spot. I mean, only a couple games out. They could push for it, but I don't know. I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that Washington will make the playoffs. Detroit, they're 3-9. It's kind of exactly where we thought they would be. And that wraps up where the seeding is. The only other thing to note was that trade with James Harden. You can watch that episode to kind of listen to a little bit more of what happened with that trade. Other than that, James Harden to the Nets, it's really hard to say. I don't think it's going to work out. Like I said before, having too many guys that need the ball in their hands. All of them are, for real, are just really selfish. Honestly, just James Harden and Kevin Durant, I think, is a better duo and team than adding Kyrie. So, maybe they make a trade. I'm not quite sure on that one. I haven't really heard anything concrete on them trading Kyrie Irving, but we'll find out what happens here to come. So, thank you everyone for watching the week that was NBA style. Tune in next week.